Have you ever thought about the other side of segregation? Like, really thought about it? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King fought valiantly for civil rights for black folks, and he had a dream of integration. But he went on to say that he fears that he integrated his people into a burning house. His dream, he said, had become a nightmare.
These young people are saying that there must be a revolution of values in our country. As Jimmy Baldwin said on one occasion, what advantage is there in being integrated into a burning house? 1963, 9 years after the Supreme Court's decision to be in the March on Washington, meant a great deal. It was a high moment, a great watershed moment. But I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare.
The clip I'm about to show you was one of a historian who grew up in the Jim Crow South. He spoke about what it was like growing up at that time, and he shared a perspective that I know many people haven't thought about, which is that there were some de facto benefits that came from segregation for the black community. Take a listen.
An oppression that was just unfathomable for most white Americans. Jim Crow was always a curse, but it was always a perverse blessing. Its perversion was that it destroyed a sense among white Americans that black Americans were actually their equals. But it was also a blessing in that it created a barrier. It kept out a lot of negative cultural and social, as well as political influences that otherwise would have affected black America. One could say that by creating a barrier around the black community, it gave us a better sense of who we were, what our culture was, and developing institutions that responded across class lines to the problems and daily issues that confronted most black Americans.
He said that segregation kept out a lot of negative social, cultural, and political influences out of the black community and allowed us to focus exclusively on black issues across class lines, meaning that we got to see beyond the outside influences what our specific needs were as a people, and we got to plan around those needs and address them where we could. And this applies to so many different areas in the black community, right? And one of the ways I look at this is through the area of music, and more specifically, hip-hop. It's been about 70 years since the start of the integration project in America. And as a part of integration, hip-hop became industrialized by non-black folks. Because you gotta remember that before integration, and even now still, every musical art form that came out of the black community was first demonized by white America. They used religion as a part of this demonization, so much so that they even had black folks demonizing black music.
We're finna just end this right now. God is a word God. God is into words. And hip-hop means booty shaking. In this song where they said a hip-hop, you know what they was talking about? They was talking about the way the women's behinds was shaking to their beats.
That's why we have a history of black jazz and black blues artists being kicked out of their homes and shunned by their communities for even participating in these expressions of black music. And in the areas where it can no longer be effectively demonized, they capitalized on it.
Clergy, politicians, parents, professors argued against the evils of jazz. Attacks appeared in the national press, from newspapers as lofty as the New York Times to popular women's magazines like the Ladies' Home Journal. Never in the history of our land have there been such immoral conditions. The blame is laid on jazz music and its evil influence on the young people today. Jazz is retrogression. It is going back to the African jungle for our music. It is a savage crash and bang.
Black musics have always been attacked, and it's very problematic in American society.
I'm the man at hand to run the benefit.
The penetration of those polite societies by jazz music was cause of unlimited consternation. There's no question that this caused, like it does today with hip-hop culture, an enormous degree of anxiety about policing the boundaries of black and white culture.
I think that nothing less is at stake than the preservation of civilization.
Hip-hop is a culture that was forged in community, that was rooted in political and social consciousness, that spoke truth to power, that served as a megaphone to the oppressed in the decimated South Bronx.
And hip-hop means booty shaking.
Hip-hop means conscious movement, intelligence or awareness, moving, leaping, springing.
And it later transformed into an industry. Community became devalued, the individual became elevated, and this industry from top to bottom is mostly dominated by non-black people who care more about the capital gain, the money.
I done been on the same record label for 13 years, so to say. That record label just folded all of its independent labels and subsidiaries into each other, which means how we was kids, you got Rockefeller, you got Def Jam, you got all these things, none of them exist no more. They fired all the heads of the labels, and if they didn't, they turned them into glorified A&Rs. They cut off 50% of the people who work in all these departments. Most of those people is us, people of color that come from hip hop and R&B and these other things, right? Then you got record labels opening up IPOs. You got record labels destroying their relationships with TikTok, Spotify, things that pay out artists because they want to start their own. So then we getting priced out of our contracts. We getting priced out of our imprints. There are no labels basically that are incentivized to sign black music, and it's happening in front of our eyes.
There are so many voices in hip-hop culture who are representing the culture who are not from the culture. And I feel like at this point, their voices have become so loud that they've drowned out so many voices that come from the culture authentically. We needed to create a distinction.
Bruh, is out here that's really special, really aliens, really talented, really putting in the work. And y'all giving this dip fuck who, these publicly will be like, I don't give a fuck about music, I just do this shit for money. Like, when every publication is like, hell yeah, let's put that out. Man, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 20-year-old gonna see that and be like, man, I don't really care about this shit too. This is a quick bag. Now you taking up space for niggas like me.
That
you
really want to be
space for people who really care about this art form.
All the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Hey man, bad shit, I'm about to get the Bentley. I get it fastly, they just can't understand it. So much dirty money, I need it's holiday season.
I mean, it's some kid right now, this white kid, regular like Caucasian man, and he's like mocking Future and Gucci Mane like rap music, and like people are like, this shit hard. It's not even like satire, it's like I'm just joking, I'm just mocking it, but I'm like, no, you can't do. And I hold rap music so close to my heart because it changed my life and everyone's life around me, and I'm a nerd about this. This is like weird in comparison to someone like a Mac Miller or Eminem, who it didn't seem like they was mocking it. They had a genuine love for it, and they were still just being, you know, aside from when Eminem was wearing do-rags in like 2006.
And that's why this moment between Drake and Kendrick is being referred to by those who get it as a cultural reset. Not like us demanded that we have new terms of engagement, and that we have a filtering process for how we determine and think about who's actually from the culture and the community that is hip-hop. Drake, a Jewish Canadian man from Forest Hill, Toronto, became a dominant voice in hip-hop and began using hip-hop for social gain, for capital, and for power. And his music in some ways became an indictment on modern hip-hop culture. But as someone who actually listens to hip-hop who's from this culture, I know that there's so many more stories being told. But there's space being taken up for authentic voices within the culture by people not of the culture who exist within it to exploit it.
Colonialism, if we may bring this word now into the conversation. Colonialism has a tactic of taking the criminal element of a society and exalting it as the leadership. And this is how all cultures, how they did us as they came in. Any city, any state is colonized. They don't take the king or the queen of the culture and exalt them because you colonizing their land, you taking what they got. They'll take the one who is the lowest level of your culture, disgruntled, can't follow principles, don't care about history, and bless them. And bring them up before the people.
Kendrick Lamar notices this cultural shift happening from jump, and he called it out on one of his most well-known songs, Don't Kill My Vibe. I can feel the changes. I can feel the new people around me just want to be famous. You can see that my city found me and put me on stages. To me, that's amazing. To you, that's a quick check. With all disrespect, let me say this. What Kendrick speaks to here, I think, is the amplifying of voices within the culture who exist within it for capital gain. And I think that's part of why Kendrick was also beefing with the music industry as a part of this back and forth, but that's a whole nother video.
What happens when this thing collapses? This is the thing that we're talking about. It's like nobody wants to talk about. It's like, what happens when the columns start buckling? Are we not in some early stage of that at this present hour?
Bringing to the stage my man from Yonkers, New York, DMX. What I'm gonna speak on is the thing that's on my mind the most. You know what I'm saying? The thing that we all gotta deal with every day, but don't really know. The industry.
Whoever that's fucking with them fucking niggas and fuck the industry too. If you take, I've been in this industry 12 years. I'ma tell y'all one little secret. There's some weird shit going on in some of these artists.
Raphael like a really give you art, but the industry's cooked as I pick the carcass apart.
Yeah, phony ass trying to see Compton. The industry can hate me. Fuck 'em all ain't they mama. How many ops you really?
The industry. Man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent. It's about playing the game. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going dress like this and talk with the bat. The industry like, wait! But in the streets, we like, get 'em. 17 up in that thing. Catch 'em sleeping and hit 'em. I'm not an industry artist. I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the fuck I want, because nobody can finish me. I'm sick of this industry shit. The industry playing them like a industry bitch. They tried to finish me quick, but I am long, so I stand strong. Fuck a beat. Listen to the words in the damn song.
Kendrick Lamar, he got on this new Drake diss record Euphoria sounding like DMX on The Breakfast Club.
Now, why don't you like Drake?
I don't like anything about Drake. I don't like his voice. I don't like what he talks about. I don't.
See, I be trying to tell these face.
I don't like the way he walks, like nothing. I don't like his haircut.
Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, this will be direct.
Drake's palatability to white America made his career a great investment for those seeking capital within the industry. That is a big part of his success. And I think it's a part because his upbringing and where he comes from reflects the life of the average American, really.
He's the best actor of all time.
Yeah,
he's been acting as a dope rapper for fucking 7 years. He's the best actor of all time.
I say the same thing. It sounds like an insult, but it's not. It's not.
It's not. He's dope. He's dope.
He happens to be good.
He happens to be good.
But the part he's playing is not him.
Yeah, that's not him.
Let's talk about you being Jewish real quick.
Let's do that.
Because a lot of people think that, like, Asher's Jewish.
Right.
He's not.
But he wasn't there. He didn't read his portion, first of all.
You didn't have a bar mitzvah.
Come on. Are you serious?
All you have to do is meet someone who's like you and know, like, I know you.
Right.
I know you.
Right.
Suburban Jewish rap-loving kid.
How are you? Yeah.
Yeah, I know you. You're Canadian.
Yeah.
You're I'm Maryland. You're Toronto, but I know who you are.
Yeah.
You don't understand how big you're about to be in the Jew world.
You don't understand how big it is. First of all, I live in an all-Jewish area. So
where is that?
Forest Hill.
Okay.
I went to a predominantly Jewish school growing up. I definitely had a bar mitzvah in an Italian restaurant, mind you.
A nice Italian restaurant?
A very nice Italian restaurant.
And so when I see certain shit that I don't like, we just end up getting to like a sort of bitchy Jewish kid qualms that I understand, but it's not because I don't respect him. I do really appreciate what he does musically, but there are times sometimes when he puffs up too big, I can be like, bro,
right.
There's dudes who are real out here.
We fast forward to this year, Drake definitively loses a rap beef and then goes on Instagram wearing a shirt that says rap is a joke, which reflects the sentiments of previous cultural colonizers like Post Malone, who said if you want to hear some real shit and if you're looking for lyrics, don't listen to hip hop.
If you're looking to cry, if you're looking to think about life, don't listen to hip hop. Whenever I want to cry, whenever I want to sit down and I want to cry, I listen to some like Bob Dylan.
What are you doing for the Black Lives Matter movement? I guess what I can do to help Black Lives Matter is I to keep making music. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Got you.
I don't know.
I would have just said nothing.
You are silent in all black issues, Drake. You really are. You are really, really silent. I don't hear about anything. You don't stand for nothing. You don't say nothing about nothing. You don't. That's just what it is. You have all the platform in the world. You were so passionate back then. No, you weren't. That's number one. That's what I know.
And Drake doesn't see this as an issue because he's never known how to rightly move within the culture. Lil Wayne invited Drake to the House of Hip Hop, and he gave him rules of engagement. He said, don't pretend to do what I'm doing. Don't rap about what I'm rapping about. Stay true to yourself. Keep it Canadian.
I was the one to tell him, don't change anything. Don't think because you're coming over here by me that you got to start rapping about the things I rap about. Don't do none of that. Please rap about your little TV show, whatever you want to rap about. Rap about girls. Do that. That's what you're good at. I rap about what I rap about, and so that was one of the main things I had to tell him from the jump. Like, hey, don't change anything. Don't start singing about killing nobody. Don't start singing about the streets.
Yeah, talk about what you know. Yeah.
Yeah, like keep it Canadian, man.
Keep it.
Those are the rules of the House of Hip Hop, rules that we established. Keeping it real was always important. We determined that keeping it real was a big part of hip hop culture. No matter what your life like, be honest. This is the pillar of hip hop that black and brown folks established. That's why we valued writing our own raps.
That was one of the main things I had to tell him from the jump. Like, hey, don't change anything. Don't start singing about killing nobody. Don't start singing about the streets.
Yeah, talk about what you know. Yeah.
Yeah, like, keep it Canadian, man.
Keep it.
He's talking down and get put in the leg. Capital type to show up to the way. I'm keeping hard, don't know what to take. Know what I took. Dougie up on track, be like, he shot him in. Shot him in daylight. Shot him in daylight. Louis bags in exchange for body bags. Sick of these. Hide some help. Get ready to.
The greatest advice Wayne has ever given me is, you know, he's always just like, man, please be yourself. Please don't ever try and be me or anybody else. Don't ever go get tattoos. You don't have to dress any different. From the day Wayne met me to now, I haven't changed anything about myself. He met me and he really liked the kid that he met. And he was like, don't stop smiling either. Don't try and get mean or aggressive. He's like, just be you, man. Just be you and rap about life and women and family and just love life and be happy. Be that guy. Be the guy that I could never be because he can't be that guy.
And Drake listened to Lil Wayne at first until the check came calling. And so he put on the aesthetic of a street dude and put on the accent, even though he never came from that. And at one point criticized that.
Instead of addressing people like the group, like saying like, what are you guys doing? Say, man's like you. It's really weird. Yeah, so man's like you are going to that, and then this means like the group.
Crew.
That's interesting.
It's not. It's really ignorant.
Through highs and lows, we seen man last night froze. Was no cameras, was no pose. Just like that one time at Cella. Good thing man we're pulling out phones.
So now Drake can get on wax in a culture like hip hop and tell Kendrick Lamar that he's rapping like he's trying to get the slaves freed. Yes, that's kind of the point. Liberation was always the point. As Nipsey Hussle said in his song Dedication, this ain't entertainment. This is on a slave ship. These songs are the spirituals I swam across the waves with. This cultural reset can help us determine the sound of the culture more clearly. I talk all the time about how hip-hop is people music. So what are the people saying? What ideas are cropping up? What issues are we facing as a people? And what can we do about the problems that we face? So Not Like Us was not just a diss record. It's a call for us to think about who has infiltrated hip-hop culture and clearing house so that we can do our work.
This ain't got nothing to do with no motherfucking song at this point. Ain't got nothing to do with no back and forth records. It got everything to do with this moment right here. That's what this was about. To bring all of us to motherfucking together, you know what I'm saying? That's what this is about. We done lost a lot of homies to this music, a lot of homies to the street. And for all of us to be on this stage together, unity from each side of motherfucking LA, Crips, Bloods, Power Rules, this shit is special, man.
Love and liberation to you all, and as always, like and follow for more content.
You're in the temple of hip hop. This is our home. This place, this institution can never side with, come under, understand the exploitation of our culture.